Hi Pisces, welcome to your 2026 Astro-Tarot reading with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these are for your Sun, Moon and Ascendant sign. Make sure you check them out for all three so that you really get a clearer picture of the year. But also, astrology tends to favor your Ascendant sign, whereas Tarot tends to favor your Sun sign. So to get a much more complete picture of how this year is unfolding for you, make sure you check out all three. I'm using the whole sign tropical Western astrology system for those of you that would like to know, so make sure you check them out. And I will say the structure of this video is we're going to be looking at your life sector overview, where we're going to delve into your actions, your career, your love life, your spirituality, your finances, and of course your warnings for the year, things that you might need a little bit of a heads up on. Then we're going to delve into your lunation section, which is your new moon and full moon for the year. Obviously, we've got the last full moon in your sign that is an eclipse, so you're definitely going to want to check that out. We're also going to be exploring how all of the eclipses are affecting you this year. Then we're going to get into your 12-month tarot breakdown, which is where we go from January through December with the cards to explore how this year is unfolding for you. Now, if you are a continued subby, you know Raffi loves you. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and this resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you want to get a personal session with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. And this year you want to make sure you check out the 2026 Compass. This is what I am calling intuitive strategy for the new era. It's my bespoke flagship service for the year. And it is, when I say for the year, it's your year done right. So we're going to create you a strategy based on all of your correspondences. This is a way for you to align with 2026, but because 2026 is a universal 1 year, we're going to help you start this cycle right, because the universal 1 year sets the tone in our lives and in the world for the next 9 or 10 years of our lives. So let's start it off right. Pisces, wait and see. Let's see what this 2026 has in store for you. Hi Pisces, welcome to your 2026 life sector overview. So this part of the reading, what we're going to be doing is looking at all of these different areas of life as a macrocosmic snapshot. We're going to be using just the major arcana cards from the deck. And what we're going to be doing here is looking at how these sectors of your life are likely to unfold in those big, broad brushstrokes. So with that said, let's get straight into it. I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you all on your path to your highest vibrational good. So let's see what these areas of life have in store for you. So for your actions and options, we're going to start there. So your actions and options is about what you do, right? It's about what you do and what's available to you. And this year for your actions and options, you have the World card, right? So this year, you, my dear Pisces, are operating at a whole new level. This is you stepping onto and into brand new levels, brand new plateaus. This is you taking it further than you ever have before. For a lot of you, I think this is going to be a big shift or a big change of some sort when it comes to things like promotions, when it comes to stepping into new levels, new rooms that you never thought you would enter, or maybe were too scared to enter. This is you stepping into life in a really big kind of way. So I'm totally here for that. What it also suggests as well is this is the year that you start to really understand your personal power in a way that maybe you haven't for a long time, or maybe ever. Now, in terms of the opportunities that are available to you, the World card always sees us operating at or connecting to higher levels, different levels, level ups in some way, shape or form. It's going to see you really interacting with what we call movers and shakers, power players. And it's not because these people are above you, it's because you're actually one of the peers. This is you really taking a big step forward in some way, and I am totally here for this for you. What this also speaks to as well is community. And so I think for a lot of you this year, you're going to start to really understand who your people are, who your groups are, who your connections are, who are the right connections for you, and what that actually looks like. So I'm here for it. For your career, and this year you have the Fool card. New things, new places, new people, new energies when it comes to the career. Remember, the Fool card is the first card of the major arcana, and the World card is the final card of the major arcana. The fact that you've got these kind of side by side, for me, really speaks volumes. Your career is going in a very new direction, whether you're a study, whether you're learning, etc., whatever the case might be. Your career this year, my dear Pisces, is going in a very different direction to where it would usually go. This is so exciting because it means there's fresh horizons on the horizon for you. It means there are new places, new people, new things, new energy coming into this career sector for you. Now, for those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, this could be where you are learning something completely different or something completely new that changes your perspective on what's possible for you, or more importantly, what is out there for you. What I love about the Fool card here is it basically says whatever you thought it was going to be or however you thought it was going to unfold, that's not it. It's going to unfold in new and exciting ways, and there are new and exciting vistas on that journey for you. It also means that this year you will probably have some kind of opportunity that arises because of the studies that you're doing, and in order for you to get the most out of it or to really put the most into it, you're being encouraged to be open to those new possibilities. If you are employed by somebody else, one way that this could show up is not only a new job at a new company, but also a new position, a new understanding of your personal power, your smarts, your skills. For some of you, this could be a position that opens up internationally. There could be a job out there for you where, maybe you find a dream job and it means a move or a change of location in some way. Maybe you find a position that you didn't even realize you could do until somebody says to you, like, wow, you've got the knowledge, the smarts, the skills, you've got the grit, the determination, whatever it is that's required for this position. Have you ever thought about doing ... Maybe you get headhunted. Maybe a position opens up for you that you thought was years in the making, right? And all of a sudden you find yourself now with this very much as a possibility right at your feet, which is so, so exciting. Now, for those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, new communities are coming in, new connections are coming in, new connections to people that we would consider movers and shakers. This is about really tapping into networks of people that you've probably never even thought of before. This is you coming live on brand new radars that you've probably never even registered for before. This is so exciting. Like, I love this for you guys. For those of you that are retired and no longer working, I think this is where your retirement truly begins. I think this is you stepping into it and saying, wow, the world really is my oyster. There are so many things that are now possible and potentially open to and for me that I hadn't even considered before. It could be one of those moments of like, oh, I'm retired. And then it's like, I'm retired, right? And now suddenly you realize the world and all of the things and the people in it are your oyster. So, so exciting. For your love and relations, look, if you're single this year, I think there's going to be so much focus on the career, on the friends, on building all of these kinds of things that maybe, just maybe, love isn't necessarily the focal point. Does that mean that you won't date or there won't be any opportunities to do so? No. What it does mean, though, is it's possible that you and your one of the ways that this could show up is you might find that the potential partners that come in, you realize very quickly, like, this is going to be fun, it's going to be pleasure, it's going to be enjoyable, but it's not necessarily for the long term. It could also be that your specific type or your relationship style, etc., goes through a massive transformation. So you kind of look at this and say, wow, usually I would have totally gone for this person, but they don't feel right for me anymore. And I think this is a big part of this is because you yourself are leveling up so powerfully that you're going to start to really demand and expect more from your potential partners. So, there could be that going on as well. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, it's not that all of you are suddenly going to find yourself getting divorced or breaking up with your partner. Is that a possibility for some of you? Yes, absolutely. It's the death card, right? We have to be honest and real about what it could possibly mean. This could be a relationship that comes to an end. You'll know if I'm talking to you because you'll feel the inklings or the stirrings. What the death card usually means for couples, as I've discovered over my years of reading now, is that the relationship itself has to go through some kind of transformation. It's like how you've done this relationship up until now, it has to change. So one way that you could see this would be your let's say you and your partner live in different properties, right? And your partner says, I don't want this anymore, right? Either we move in together or we go our separate ways. This could be where you and your significant other say, okay, you know what? We're going to move in together. Let's say you're already moved in together and your partner says, right, you know what? Now I want to marry you. Let's get married. Maybe you're already married and your partner says, right, I don't like the area that we live in, so I want us to move. Or, you know what, I don't like that you are so burdened with, you know, all the things that you have to do at home, so we're going to do something different, right? Like, it's, you know, the relationship itself will need to go through some kind of transformation so that it's not the same old same. For your spirituality, you have the Temperance card. This year, you are going to be working on your powers of alignment. This year, I think a lot of Pisces people, I think this is the year where you're going to get really serious about how you align your energy, how you use your energy, where you spend your energy, what you spend your energy, your time and effort on. I think you're going to be leaning a lot more into spirituality versus religion this year and cultivating a real spiritual path and also a spiritual practice. I think for a lot of you as well, this is going to be a year where you start to really understand what alignment actually means for you, and you're going to start really feeling, I think for a lot of Pisces people this year, I think a lot of you are going to start to really get very good at feeling energy, sensing energy. Now, a lot of Pisces people already are, because you guys are quite sensitive and delicate in that space. But a lot of you, I have found, a lot of Pisces people actually struggle with visualization. A lot of Pisces people actually struggle with, oh my God, what's it called? With energy work, right? Which was a revelation to me. Like, I was so like, what, really? This is kind of like your realm, right? It's a thing. This year, you may get really good at this, right? Really good at tapping into, really good at using it, really good at sensing it, really good at working with it so that you can start to build or create more of the things that you want. Temperance is a manifesting card, and underneath the World card, this is basically you learning how to create the life that you want through things like manifesting, visualization, etc. For your finances, you have the Magician card, all right? So the message here is you have everything that you need to create the kind of money, finances, and resources that you desire. So now it's really up to you to use that energy. You're starting new work, going in new directions, tapping more into your personal power, stepping onto new levels. But with new levels comes new finances. The Magician card is really saying you have everything that you need this year to generate and create a much more financial energy, right? So I love this for you. What I would also say to you here as well with the Magician card is, on the, you know, not so easy side, the Magician card can be about yes men, you know, or, you know, people that are tricksters in some way, shape or form. So just be careful that you don't buy into everyone when it comes to finances. But for the most part, I love this. Now, when it comes to your finances as well, the Magician card is basically saying this year is the year that you learn to Rumpelstiltskin. You're going to learn how to literally create money or gold out of thin air. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, this year, I want you to be really careful with things like mental exhaustion. And this is the year that you get really intentional with how you speak life into your body, into your mind, right? Not saying like, oh, I'm sick, or oh, I'm tired, or like, I'm not saying you can't ever say I'm tired, but what I'm saying is if you keep saying things like that, you're going to generate that energy. This year, you're getting more intentional with how you're using your words and how those words have an effect on your health. All right, so pay attention to this. And as I say, watch out for things like mental exhaustion. When it comes to your home and environment, it's very likely for a lot of Pisces people, I think home is going to change this year. Where you live, how you live there, who you live with, is going to go through some really big adaptations, which is kind of exciting if you see it in that way. And then finally, for your warnings this year, you have the Chariot card. So the one thing that I want to say to you, not to put a dampener on it, but when you're traveling this year, whether it's for leisure or pleasure, whether it's for a little bit of both, I just want you to be a little bit extra careful, okay? Like, I want you to be a little bit extra mindful of when you're in foreign countries. What are the rules and regulations around getting around? Are you driving? Are you taking public transport? Just be a little bit extra careful with those things this year, all right? I want you to be a bit more intentional with how you move through new spaces that you haven't been to before. Another way that I would say that this could potentially show up is this is very likely, Pisces, to be a very fast and furious year for you. It's going to be very dynamic anyway because it's a 1 year. So I want you to be a little bit more mindful, a little bit more present whenever you're doing anything. This is not a year to rush. This is a year to be really careful around things like road rage. It's a year to be really careful around things like speeding as well. So if you know I've got a friend of mine who is a Pisces rising. I call him Leadfoot Lenny. Because I tell you, sometimes that bitch be having me reaching for a break that's not there, right? Like, slow down, like, please. I would like to get there in one piece. That's good too. Or another friend of mine who's a girl, I call her Leadfoot Loretta. She's like, honey, okay? Because, we're reaching for breaks here. So just watch out for that. Outside of that, another way that this could also show up is there will be a modicum or a level of inner work to do this year, Pisces. Do not shy away from it, right? There are going to be parts of yourself that are open for you to really get the better of, to really get a handle of, but only if you're prepared and willing to do that inner work. So with that said, I want to tell you about the 2026 compass. What is it? You've probably been seeing this all on my socials, me sort of posting about it and talking about it. You're going to hear it throughout this reading ad nauseum. The compass is effectively me putting a compass in your hand, slapping you on the tush and sending you into 2026 to get the most out of it. The 2026 compass is a set of things that is going to ultimately build up to a tool that you can use to create the year that you desire. 2026 is a universal 1 year. So for all of us, no matter what your personal year is, in some way, shape or form, the things that unfold over the course of this year are going to flavor, echo and permeate through the next 9 or 10 years of your life. With that said, I want to make sure that I can serve as many people as possible to getting it right. This is one of the reasons this year that I opened these readings up. Usually I charge for them. This year I said, no, I'm going to do everything differently because 2026 is going to demand that we do everything differently. It's a 1 year. All of the old ways of doing things are just not going to cut it. So you get a 12-month tarot reading. That's going to be the baseline blueprint of your year, right? On top of that, you get a PDF calendar. All of the written insights in that PDF calendar are written by me for you based on your chart, based on your numbers. As if all of that wasn't enough, there's space in there for you to write your notes because you're going to get a 3-hour session with me where we're going to go through your reading month by month, and we are going to create plans based on your chart, based on your numbers. You get to ask me any questions that you might have about said reading or about things that you want to do or to move towards next year. As if all of that wasn't enough, for those of you that know, every year I used to do a winter solstice session. This year it's coming back and you get a complimentary seat on that so that you can activate the energy. We'll also be doing energy work in your 3-hour session as well. So trust me, everything but the kitchen sink in this year, right? Well, I say this year, the compass, this is the first year I've done anything like this. I'm so excited about it because I was building the energetic bridge and the scaffolding for this long before I even started writing posts or social media posts, etc. Now, with that said, There's a link in the description box below where you can sign up. Obviously, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, so I don't know how many seats are going to be left by the time this comes out. I apologize for that, but I've given plenty of warning. As I say, you're going to be seeing this everywhere on my socials, so you will have seen this somewhere. If you're on my mailing list as well, you will have heard about it because I sent this out to the mailing list before anybody else so that you got an inside scoop. Now, on top of that, the price is $550, but that's payable in 2 installments. So on sign up, you're going to pay one half. In November, you'll pay your second half. December, you're going to have your 3-hour one-to-one with me. In that time, obviously, you'll get your 12-month reading and your booklet, and then you will be ready to step into, before you even go anywhere, by the time 2026 starts, you will be completely ready with everything that you need to absolutely smash the shit out of 2026. All right, there's a link for that in the description box below. With that said, stay tuned while we get to the next part of your reading. Hi Pisces, welcome to your 2026 lunations. So we are going to get started. Let me so here we're going to be looking at your new moons, your new moon, your full moon, and the eclipses and how they're likely to shape up for you. So I'm going to share my screen. And here you can see your very fancy Pisces Moons 2026 booklet. This is for you guys and specifically just for you guys. So we're going to start with your new moon. This year, your new moon, you'll be glad to know, is not an eclipse. But there is a Mercury retrograde in your sign at the time. Stay tuned while we get into what that means. So on March the 19th, we're going to have your annual Mercury, your annual new moon at 28 degrees of your sign. Because the node is so close to getting out of your sign at this point, this is not an eclipse. It's 20-degree orb. 10 is the most that we allow, right, for when we're talking about eclipses. So this new moon, interestingly enough, the 19th of March she was my best friend at school. Little Joe, if you're ever watching, little shout out to you, darling. Pisces, your new moon this year is a relatively quiet affair, right? So it's at the tail end of your sign at 28 degrees and it's sextile to Uranus at the same degree of Taurus. I think this is a quiet moment to recuperate and really ask yourself, like, what is actually for me? What do I want to create? And more importantly, where do I feel like life is taking me at this time? Now, yes, I know I said quiet and, I'm talking about Uranus. So you're probably thinking like, hang on a sec, Graph. Uranus doesn't do quiet. No, it doesn't. It's in your 3rd house. But remember, at this point, Uranus is back in back in the sign of Taurus. It's at the tail end of that sign. It's wrapping up any unfinished business that it has there. It's now newly direct, which means it's moving, barreling its way towards Gemini, where it's going to enter for the next 6+ years, right? Once it goes back into the sign of Gemini this year, it's going to be there now for the next 6 years' time. So this is one of the reasons that I say it's quiet, because Taurus is a fixed earth sign, right? So the sextile is a chance, it's an opportunity. Since Uranus is the planet of surprises, shock, and awe, it's in the 3rd house. So once more, this might be wrapping up its final business around siblings, if you've got them, before it goes back into Gemini, energy. This is your mind, it's your communications. This could be spontaneous interviews that show up in some way, shape, or form. This could be spontaneous new opportunities that show up in your work or in your daily experience. It means that the sextile is also an opportunity to extract the last little bit of goodness from this space via this planet. The 3rd house represents the local environment, and what I've often said is whenever we're talking about the 3rd house, we are talking about daily experiences. It's your local shop, the local general, darling, right? Along with interviews, pacts, invites, anywhere that you're, did I mention interviews? Right? Which means that there could absolutely be a work-related element to this new moon, right? It's definitely a chance for you to showcase your skills, and even a time where you could be interacting with and connecting very much by surprise foreign or distant shores. Now we can see that because Uranus is the modern ruler of your 12th house. It's in the 3rd house, right? And the 12th house is the house of the exile, which usually means foreign lands, distant places, etc. many of the celestial energies are with you and in your second house of finances at this time, which means there are probably quite some significant personal upgrades underway, which is really beneficial for you, Pisces. Your ruler, Jupiter, obviously the ruler of this moon, we would look to Jupiter, is still in his sign of exaltation at this point and is in a really nice trine to Mars, which means there's an active element to this. And Mars is the ruler of your second house of money, finances, and resources. Mars does okay in Pisces. The fact that it's the ruler of your Neptune, the ruler of Saturn, the ruler of Venus at this moment in time, and also the ruler of this Chiron energy, your second and your first and your second houses are absolutely lit up. So this really has a lot to do with how you view yourself, how you value yourself. There could be a financial element to this as well. I would not be surprised to find out that some of you are spending money on something to do with your appearance. Doesn't necessarily have to be plastic surgery. It could be anything like dental work is absolutely possible. Now, what's interesting as well is this Mercury retrograde is directly on the North Node at this time in your sign, which means you are rethinking something about yourself at this moment in time. Now, Mercury in your chart rules your home, your property, your real estate, your familial life. It also rules your partnerships and your relationships. This could be a time where maybe some of you are releasing a home or releasing a relationship. It could also be where you're seeing yourself in such a different light and valuing yourself in such a different way that it sees you really kind of saying, actually, you know what? I'm ready to break away from this. That Mars energy is very strong. It's really, very tightly trined to that Jupiter in the fifth house as well. Jupiter in the fifth, Jupiter loves to be in the fifth house. So it's sending you really positive rays here. And also it's helping you think about your personal self-expression. With this connection to the third house, I really think that this could be some kind of spontaneous shift to your daily experience. Remember, the third house has a lot to do with changes that occur on the what do you call it as well? Location sort of element. So, and this is why I say, because eclipses in the third, not eclipse, well, yes, eclipses, but also activations of the third, specifically with things like Uranus, they can bring things up in the work, but the third house being the location, it really could trigger something like that. Now, we've lost it. Okay, I think that's enough. Ooh, excuse me. Nice little energy shift there. The eclipses. All right. So in the first season of eclipses this year, we have a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius. This is in your 12th house. So your eclipses are moving off of this angular sector, which is nice because remember, angular eclipses, they tend to be felt very viscerally, very much in the real world. However, your eclipse cycle is migrating now into another space of the chart for eclipses that can be interesting to say the least, right? And that is your 12th house. This is your mental health and vitality, your spiritual health and vitality. It's also your self-sabotaging tendencies. The 12th house is ashrams. The 12th house is also an expense house. So there could be, some big expenses that unfold for you over the course of this month. So watch out for that. Over the 3 to 6 months that follow, should I say. Now, on top of that, you will also have eclipses in the sixth house, which is about your physical health and vitality. If the 12th house is the inner, the sixth house would be the outer. Both of these are health and maintenance houses in the chart. How you look after yourself, how you maintain your mental health is the 12th house. How you maintain your physical health is the sixth house. So these might be things that you really start to drill down on, moving forward. Now, on April the 17th, this new moon solar eclipse at 28 degrees, imagine, right? Your personal new moon, 28 degrees. The first eclipse of the year, 28 degrees, right? So there's definitely something going on with this. What's really interesting as well is 2026 is a universal 1 year. 2 and 8 give you 10, slice the 0 off, it gives you 1. So your new moon, the Aquarius new moon, are definitely speaking to a lot of the changeable energies that are in the air for 2026. Now, for you, this is happening in your second house of money, finances, and resources. We're going to get to your full moon in just a moment. I know you're probably thinking, what about my full moon? It's an eclipse, so that's why I'm getting to this. Now, it's an eclipse in the 12th house. This is a fresh start on the North Node, which activates some new part of your karmic experience, meaning that what's unfolding after this over the next 3 to 6 months, even though it's only an activation of a lower level because it's not a tight to the node eclipse, it could have a deeply spiritual element to it, or it could even see you tapping into a powerful and energetic tide of energy that releases a new wave of life experiences in your world, ones that fulfill or set into motion new karmic happenings or experiences for you in some way, shape, or form. This is definitely going to be felt in a big way. Since it is square to that modern ruler of Uranus in the third house, something about your daily experience does shift or change, but maybe in a way that feels kind of like deja vu. So it could be like, kind of like, oh, like, yes, this is a step forward, but it feels like I've done this before. This could be a powerful moment where you realize that something is shifting and that your daily experience is about to change in some really amazing ways. It is very exciting, I feel. Even if it is very different to what you're used to, you are the ultimate water sign, mutable water, so you can go with the flow. As it is a square, you are going to be challenged, and it's in Taurus, right? Something about the system, the regulations, or the structures, or the infrastructure that you've built or are part of on that day-to-day level is pushing you to adapt, which you do really very well. You are mutable water. Jupiter, your ruler, is trying to Mercury at the time in your sign, which means that you are able to communicate yourself clearly. And it might just be that what you are communicating at this time, people is where people kind of maybe have a bit of an issue. This is a moment where I almost want to say, like, don't take it personally, which is hard because it might feel very personal. Now, the second eclipse of the first eclipse season of the year is a Virgo full moon lunar eclipse in the seventh house on the south node. The moon is at 12, the node is at 8, so this is a true eclipse, right? This is a fully feeling one. Now, this is on March the 3rd at 12 degrees of Virgo. The ruler of this eclipse is Mercury. Mercury is in your sign where it doesn't really do very well, if I'm completely honest with you. It's also retrograde. So at this time, I would say watch out for miscommunications, mishaps, or misunderstandings in or around relationships, in particular, personal, professional, or platonic relationships. Now, that being said, this moon is in a really nice tight sextile to Jupiter in your fifth house, which means that even as something arises as a challenge, luck would have it that it kind of ends up going in your favor anyway. At the same time of this eclipse, look at this. You've got Mars in your sign. You've got the North Node in your sign. You've got the Sun in your sign. You've got Mercury retrograde in your sign. And you've got Venus in her sign of exaltation in your sign as well. So there's a lot going on for you at this moment in time. And you might feel really pent up with a lot of energy. And yet your relationships seem to be what are most to the fore at this moment in time. If you're single, this eclipse could absolutely change that. The thing that you clash out or remove, South Node is about removal, could be your singledom. It's on the South Node, so I will say that maybe, if you have had any personal relationships that you've been unsure of, or are ready for release, this could absolutely do it. The South Node full moon lunar eclipse could absolutely end a relationship. It's not a guarantee for everybody. It is a true eclipse, as I say, and that Jupiter retrograde in the fifth house of romance, pleasure, sex, frivolity, fun, hobbies, enjoyment. It really does have a lot to do with relationships, this moon, not just from the personal, professional, platonic element, but from the romantic element as well, because it's sextile to that Jupiter in your fifth house. And I always say to people, Everyone wants the seventh house. Everyone wants the ring on the finger. Everyone wants to be able to say, I'm partnered, I'm married, I've got a fiance, or whatever. Well, in order to get that, you have to go through the fifth house. You have to date people. You have to check. It's very rare that you date the first, that you marry the first person that you see and that you skip off into the sunset and you live happily ever after. It doesn't help. It doesn't happen like that. It's very rare, right? It could, but it's rare. This could also be a platonic connection, work connections, business connections. Don't panic because they're nicely supported by that Jupiter. There are opportunities even with the things that are coming to a close at this time. There might also be, and you know, the full moon is a time of revelations. It's a time where things come to light. So there could be revelations about relationships that really give you an alternative angle on, or, and one that maybe clarifies what or who needs to be released in this area of your life. So you might be looking at this and saying, yeah, actually, you know what? Now that I really see this relationship or this partnership or collaboration or contract in a real clear light, actually, it's not for me. Since Mercury is in your sign and it's retrograde, it's trine to that Jupiter, who is also retrograde, I might add. This combination means that you're like whatever you're sharing at this time might not be as clear as you think it is. It might be that you think you're being really clear and really above board, and actually, it's just not being received in that way or vice versa. Since your fourth house of home and family and your seventh house of relationships is highlighted, a situation around a living situation could come to an end or might need adapting. So you could be moving in with somebody that ends your reign of your bachelor or bachelorette pad, right? It could be that you are moving out or maybe somebody else is moving out. Since Mercury, the ruler of the moon, is retrograde, old patterns and old lovers could come into your world, old collaborations and connections as well. What's interesting to me is that it's in your sign. So in some way, shape, or form, this could be like, okay, yeah, I kind of get it, right? You could be the one doing the reaching out. So it could be like, let's say you parted ways with somebody and you think, actually, you know what? After all this time, I realized that that is my person. It could be that way. If it feels right, don't be afraid to make bold choices or bold declarations, Pisces. So the second eclipse season of the year sees the first of these eclipses was on August the 12th. We've got a new moon solar eclipse in your sixth house of day-to-day habits, your work, your daily habits, daily grind, daily experience. The sixth house is also your burdens and your maintenance. It's your physical health and vitality. You could be putting a lot of focus on this. Now, the South Node moving through the sixth house, it can it can throw up health concerns, right? So one of the ways that this could play out is, I mean, one of the positive ways that this could play out is that you lose a lot of weight, right? That can absolutely happen here. One of the other challenges that could show up here, though, is that you have mysterious health issues that show up and you're just trying to figure out how, you know, what's going on. The other thing that you should be aware of is you've got Jupiter in this sixth house, so it's offering protection to the physical body. It's also bringing a sense of cohesion to your days, which is great. We've got Mercury here as well. This in your sixth house, right? An eclipse in the house of work, daily habits, routines, and from here on in, certainly over the next couple of years, this is a new area of activation with the South Node. So this is where you're really finding things that you know you're ready to release or to let go of. When it comes to your daily habits, patterns, and routines, your health, how you maintain those things is really being brought into the spotlight. And since the ruler of this eclipse is in the sign that of the eclipse, it's strong, right? And it's trying to a retrograde Saturn, which for you is in your second house of money, which means that your finances are not so much restricted at this time, certainly for the next 3 to 6 months onwards, but you are expected to work better with them, right? So this is about being mindful, using what you have, but using what you have in the right way, using the resources that are available to you in a positive manner. Now, Jupiter, your ruler, is currently in the sign of Leo, bringing a buoyant and good energy. Jupiter loves to be in Leo, it does good work there, and presence to this area. And in a trine to Saturn, who's saying, let's build sustainable wealth, let's build sustainable future and grow from there. Since your 11th house and 12th houses are being activated because of the Saturn energy, that's kind of where part of this wealth and finance story seem to go back to your visions or your future goals. The things that you had really said to yourself, this is what I want to create. Your ability to overcome challenges and stick to the path ahead is absolutely being tested to the max here, but I think it's going to be absolutely worth it. It's about seeing whether you have the grit and the determination to make your dreams happen by being active or proactive rather than just letting things happen, which is, no offense, but it's a very Piscean trait. Sometimes life demands that we get active about what we want and we go after it rather than just letting things happen to us. Saturn rewards hard work, discipline, focus, and only sweat is going to be rewarded. So if you haven't got a plan in place as yet, get one because this is going to come in whether you want it or not as an energy. Now that Mercury in Leo at this time is adding to the mix and it's kind of bringing into that sextile energy to Venus at the time. There's a chance for you to make the right connections and the right acquaintances that are going to enhance your earning potential in some way. Finally, as Mercury is also sextile to Uranus in your fourth house at the time, there is a development on the home front or the living situation that's being activated. So, whatever it is, go with it, but also consider that as long as you're doing what's new and what's different, you'll be heading in the right direction. Now, the final thing that we have to look at for you is the biggie, and that is closing out the second eclipse season of the year and closing out your chapter of eclipses, a full moon lunar eclipse in your sign. The node is at 29 of Aquarius, the moon is at 4 degrees of your sign. This is a true eclipse, right? And you are being eclipsed at this time. Something is being revealed about you, maybe to you, at a very big moment. You've got Mercury conjunct the Sun in the seventh house of relationships, but something that you are expressing about relationships from the heart is really coming up to be viewed or to be talked about here. Now, you add to this then this eclipse is the last one in your sign. It's on the north node, so it's a full moon that's revealing what the path is going to be from here on in. This is an angular axis of eclipses, so they always pack that extra sort of oomph to them. Since it's in the first house and it's trine to Mars in Cancer in your fifth house, we like this because it's helping you unpick yourself from like some mess of other people's expectations, that you've allowed yourself to kind of be stuck by in some way. Now you get to sever that tie and say, actually, no, I won't be tied to this anymore. It also shows you where financial motivation is driving you. It helps you balance that with really some smart moves as well, right? Like this could be a really good time for strategy for you as well. Remember, eclipses unfold over 3 to 6 months, so it's not kind of a one and done energy. The moon is opposing Mercury and the sun, obviously, in your seventh house. So something that if there were ever a time for you to speak your truth or share something about your connections or your relationships openly, this is your time. Speak about it. Be open with where you're at this moment in time, and you've got to really find a way to, to get this off your chest. That will be encouraged out of you over the next 3 to 6 months anyway. You're going to be pulled into situations where you're like, okay, if I don't speak up here, when they say closed mouths don't get fed. This is very much kind of that energy. Finally, Mercury, as a ruler of your fourth house of your home and property, and also your seventh house of relationships, might bring a home and living situation into this, especially where you move in with somebody else. A partnership solidifies. Uranus is now in Gemini for good. This eclipse really sets up as well a T square here. There's something that I've forgotten to mention. And it was This one. Yeah, I'm going to go back to that Aquarius eclipse in just a moment because there's something that I've forgotten to talk about and I only just remembered now. Um, so to come back to this, your eclipse, right? The T square, you've got Uranus down here now in the foundation of your chart in your fourth house of home, family, property, real estate, setting up a T square with the moon, with Mercury, and with the sun. Well, Uranus plays the path through the tension that this eclipse is showing up as, and this is around your home, your family, your property, your living sector. It's also about your deep emotional makeup, what you are tied to on an emotional level. And because it's Uranus in this space, you may find that there are a lot of big changes that unfold over the next 3 to 6 months, but also over the wider next 6.5 years on the home front. And I have to say, when I had an activation of my natal Uranus and Jupiter was activating it through the fourth house, I ended up moving so much. Like, oh my gosh, I was over it at that point, right? So just something to be mindful of. Now, with that said, it is in Gemini, so really and truthfully, something about communication is the way forward, and potentially about how you make life easier by incorporating more technological means into your home. Whatever the case, this is a pretty big deal because it's you closing out this cycle of eclipses. So pay attention to what comes up for you. And because Jupiter, the ruler of this moon, is in your sixth house, it's trine to Saturn still, really nice tight trine to Saturn, coming into an exact trine to Saturn as well, I might add. This could be very good for you financially. It could be stable, very financially stabilizing in the long run for you. This Aquarius eclipse, something that I forgot to mention is okay. Why are you? Mm, Here we go. This Aquarius eclipse, let's go back to that. At the same time as everything else that I talked about, you can see here Saturn, the ruler of this 12th house eclipse for you, is in your second house of money, finances, and resources. This combination can either erode or get rid of or tear down whatever it touches. Something about your money, your finances, and your resources is likely to go through a very big shift around this eclipse as a result of over the course of the next 3 to 6 months. Now, that doesn't mean that you're suddenly going to be broke and you're not going to have any money. It does, however, see that what you value, what you care about, what your possessions are, could go through a very big upheaval in some way, shape, or form. This could be where something really is removed. But look at everything that I said with the following eclipses that show up, right? You've got a lot of financial energy playing out over the course of this year. And that final eclipse in the sign of Pisces, I think, is going to do a lot for your money as well as that Leo eclipse. So, whatever is being eroded here, it's doing so to empty your cup so that something new can come in. I'll be talking about this a little bit more for each sign anyway as we move forward. All right, so with that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Before I let you go, I want to tell you about the 2026 compass. So, what is it? I know you're probably thinking, I've seen this, Raf, you've been talking about it for ages. Yours is unfortunately one of the last signs. So, as you're watching this, because I've released them in batches over the days, unfortunately, it may possibly be that there's not many spaces left. So, I really apologize for that, but it kind of is what it is right now. There are only 30 spaces, and the compass is your roadmap for 2026. I went all out for this because I knew that 2026 is a universal year one in numerology. This is a huge year for everybody. And in some way, shape, or form, it's going to demand that we do things very differently. So the compass is a 12-month tarot reading. We're going to use that as the basis for your year and your energy ahead. On top of that, you are going to get a PDF booklet with insights that are written on your chart, insights that are written on your numbers, specifically written for you by me. You're going to get to print that out, and inside there's plenty of space because, as part of the compass, you're also going to have a 3 hour session where we are going to plan your year meticulously. That way, you are completely ready for what's coming up for you over the course of next year, and you've got a strategy to handle it. As if all of that wasn't enough, if you remember the winter solstice alignment activation session, this year I'm bringing it back, 2025, and you will get a free seat. You get a complimentary seat to attend the solstice so that you get even more support, even more energetic alignment. There are only 30 spaces because I know that that's as many people as I'm going to be able to serve. I want to be able to give the same quality to the 30th person that I did to the first. Now, with that being said, there is a payment plan, so don't worry if you see the price and you think, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to manage that. There is a payment plan. So on sign up, you're going to pay the first half. In November, you're going to pay the second installment. By the time we get to December, you're already paid up. By the time we get to January, you are already free and in the clear and ahead of most people because you've already got your strategy ready. I wanted to go all in for these this year. There are only 30 spaces, so if you don't want to be disappointed, get one of those on the link in the description box below, and it would be my pleasure to serve you that way. With that said, stay tuned while we get to the next part of your reading. Hi Pisces, welcome to your 12-month tarot breakdown. So let's get straight into it. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So let's have a look what the year ahead has in store for you. So your first card out, it kind of typifies the year that you're going to have, right? So it gives you a clear sort of understanding. Well, I say it gives you a heads up of what's likely to be a focus for this year. And what I want to say is, if it is a challenging card, don't throw the whole reading in the trash. It just means that that's something that you have to pay a little bit more attention to for the year. For this, you have the High Priestess, right? So if you are a man, your wife or your mother could be a big focus for you over the course of this year, as well as your own intuitive faculty and energy. It could also be, for those of you that are women that are watching this, it could be you or your mother that are the real focal point of this year, or your own spiritual and psychic development in some way, shape, or form. I love the High Priestess. It's one of my favorite cards, just because whenever it shows up, there's a mystical or spiritual element of life. That whole energy is going to be, evident for you guys this year, I believe. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So for your clarifying card, you have the King of Pentacles. So for those of you that are um, well, the King of Pentacles does suggest that there could be some kind of promotion, some kind of forward momentum that unfolds for you. It could be that this is kept very hush hush. So if you work for somebody else, it might be that your boss comes to you and says, look, we've got a promotion situation. We want to do this as like an internal hire. So we're not going to outsource it, but you will need to keep it quiet. It could be if you've got your own business, whether you're working with a celebrity client or a big fish or somebody that's like a HNI, high net worth individual. So, they tend to like things quite quiet. They like NDAs, all of that kind of stuff. So January, it looks like you're off to a pretty good start. Another way that this could show up as well, though, there could be a financial burden or issue of some sort that arises straight away when we get into January. So I want you to keep that in mind. Now, that being said, on the 26th of January, Neptune is going to come into sign of Aries, and Aries for you is your second house, money, finances, resources. So I'm not going to get into the astrology in these. If you would like to book a personal astrology reading, you can do so on the link in the description box below. As we come into February, February is a packed month. There is a lot going on here. I also want to say, if you are a February born Aquarius, happy damn birthday to you. I truly hope you have a wonderful solar return. If you are a March born Pisces, I truly hope you have a wonderful solar return. Remember to fill the day of your birthday with a little bit of everything that you want the whole entire year to have in it for you. All right. So on February the 14th, Saturn is going to come back into the sign of Aries. So this is a pretty big deal because then we've got Saturn and Neptune both in the sign of Aries, again in your second house of money, finances, and resources. When it comes to your the second transit that I want to talk about is um, Mercury is going to go retrograde on February 26th all the way till March the 20th. As if that wasn't, and that's happening in your sign, right? So you're going to be rethinking yourself, how you present yourself to the world, what you look like, what you share, what you present about yourself to people, how you move through the world, all of that kind of stuff. Now, another way that this could also show up is when it well, not this, but the next transit that I want to talk about is there's a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius. This is a brand new cycle of eclipses. It's an eclipse in the 12th house, so hidden enemies, self-sabotaging tendencies. It's also your personal stored karma. So this could be a time that is activating for you, a time where you need to get really conscious about sort of who is for you, who isn't, and also where it is that maybe you get in your own way. That's what these eclipses are really trying to show you. And the 12th house is your mental health and vitality, versus the eclipses in the sign of Leo, which is your 6th house, which is your physical health and vitality. So this next couple of years is going to be all about that axis for you. And this is kicking off with this eclipse in Aquarius. If you want to know how the eclipses and the moons are shaping up for you this year, um, that should be there. Sorry. If you want to know, sorry, I was like, what's going on here? If you want to find out how the moons are speaking to you this year, check out the lunation section. That's what it's for. I went in on those this year. Lots of good information. Now, as if all of that wasn't enough, on the 20th of February, Saturn and Neptune are going to come into their official conjunction in the sign of Aries, in that second house of money, finances, resources, self-esteem, self-worth. And that's a big deal for everybody. Stay tuned. I've got a separate video coming out for that and how it's likely to affect everybody. Lots to say on that front as well. Now, for February, you have the Justice card, right? So, contracts and commitments, any and all contracts and commitments at this time, be very careful with, especially around work. And the reason I say that is because obviously you've got this Mercury retrograde. It's not an ideal to be signing a contract. It's a great time to renegotiate a contract. It's a really good time to go back over one, to repeal something, to remove something, all of those kinds of rewords, or even retire something. It's great for that, but not necessarily for signing a brand new contract. So watch out for this. The other thing is as well, it could be that there's potentially new work coming in, or maybe situations within the work sphere that really do need you to pay attention to them. As we come into March, we've got the second eclipse of the first eclipse season. This is a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. This for you is your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, significant others, personal, professional, platonic. These could be shifting at this time, right? So there's something going on with that. Now, for this, you've got the Judgment card. This is a big moment when it comes to relationships, when it comes to partnerships, when it comes to your significant other. It also suggests the Judgment card is usually like a big pivot point, and it's also a blast from the past. So for some of you, you could have a massive blast from the past from a previous partner, somebody that you dated in the past, somebody that you were attached to. The Judgment card tends to be someone from your deep past, though. So it's usually like 10 plus years, maybe more. Well, definitely more, because it's Judgment. Now, I forgot to mention as well, on the 19th of March, you've got the annual Pisces new moon. This for you is in your sign, so be sure to set your intentions and all of that good stuff. You've got this with the Magician card. That new moon, I do want to say, I would take advantage of. It's the first one in a while, in like 2 years, that hasn't been an eclipse. So take advantage of this new moon, especially because you've got the Magician card here. This could be some big pivot that now comes in with the career. I will say, whatever shows up in January and February, don't be afraid to sleep on it. Don't be afraid to delay it. Don't be afraid to delay gratification, because it could serve you much better in March. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that some of you maybe leave the job that you're in January and February and then go on to something that's much better suited, or potentially even something that has a lot more potential for you. Not a guarantee, but you know, there is that. I would also say as well, this judgment card with the Magician, this could see you reconnecting with a really powerful person from your past in some way. So, you know, let's say you go to a job interview and you end up running into somebody that you used to work with, and you find out that they're now the boss of the whole company. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, what are the odds? So that could be really nice for new but old contacts, if that makes sense. Um, for April, we have Uranus moving back into the sign of Gemini. This is for the now, it's going to be there for the next 6 years. You've already had a taster of this to see how it would play out. This is in your fourth house of home, property, family, real estate, where you live, how you live there. It's also your deep rooted emotional self and your childhood history. All of this is found in the fourth. Now, you add to this then that you've already had a taster of this, so you kind of know what to expect at this point. Now you get a chance to really dig into it to see what the shifts are going to be changing. You've got the Fool card, so new things, new places, new people, new energies. Maybe you're moving in with somebody. For a lot of you, that could be possible. In fact, it's probable. For others, this could literally be that you're moving away from the area that you're currently in, so you're moving further afield. Maybe potentially some of you are moving abroad. That seems to be a message for 5 key signs this year: Aquarius, Leo, Sagittarius, and Capricorn. That message seems to be really prominent. I'm adding you to the mix preliminarily. I don't know if it's going to totally stick. But yeah, that Full card, you've got this with the Two of Wands. Nice. So good, lucrative opportunities showing up for you around the money and the resources. New jobs, new careers are possible for all of the Pisces people this year. I love April for this. I also really like this for you interacting with either powerful people or movers and shakers. So love that. Love that. As we come into May, you've got the Lovers card. So love, relationship, partnership, very much to the fore and the focus. You've got this with the Five of Wands. So you're choosing new groups, you're choosing new hobbies, you're choosing new places, new spaces, new people, new energies. You know, new ways of doing things, new ways of working out, new ways of interacting with people. Maybe you're getting stuck into a hobby of some sort and you're absolutely killing it, or just loving it in general. This could be great for you actually, because it's a very active energy. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in a long term commitment, you could be trying something where you do like a hobby together. Another way that you could see this, though, is this. I will say, be careful with the friendships and the partnership this month, because they could clash a little bit. And you know, sometimes our friends and our partners just don't get along. It is what it is. For those of you that awkward. For those of you that are single and looking to mingle, it's likely to be either through the friendship group or potentially doing a hobby or a sport of some sort that you're likely to connect to somebody that means something to you or could go on to mean something to you. As we come into June, we've got two big events this month. The first one is on June the 19th. Chiron is going to come into the sign of Taurus. This is a big deal for the world, and on the wider world stage, it's likely to create instability and insecurity in the finance and the banking sector for everybody, because Taurus is a financial sign. It's also potentially going to create insecurity and instability with the supply lines when it comes to food, when it comes to agriculture, etc., from farm to plate and all of that kind of stuff. There could be some issues here. Now that you know that, prepare for it. I've told every sign the same thing about June, because it's, you know, it's historical. When you look at Chiron in Aries, it can cause those kinds of things. Now, the second event that I want to talk about is Mercury retrograde. This is the second one of the year. Mercury goes retrograde in the sign of Cancer. It's going to stay in the sign of Cancer. Cancer for you is your fifth house. Your fifth house is joy, pleasure, romance, creativity, children if you've got them. Fifth house is also good luck and speculative endeavors. So you're rethinking all of these things in some way, and maybe even recalibrating how you interact with those things as well. Now, for June, you've got the star card, so we love that. There is hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel, as they say. You've got this with the chariot card. So, for a lot of you, June could be a month where you are traveling abroad overseas. If you live in Europe or Britain, this could be, or even Australia, or some other part of the Middle East or whatever, you could be traveling to America. If you already live in America, you could be going to Singapore, you could be going to Brighton in the UK, you could be traveling to Zurich as well in Switzerland. I've always wanted to go to Switzerland. It's just such a, like, you know, when you see like the Instagram pictures and stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, take me now. Just take me now. Another thing that you could see here as well, because the chariot card is victory and success, and you've got this with the star card, which means anything to do with technology, anything to do with sales, anything to do with meeting the world in, you know, with TV, radio, film, podcast, etc. June could be a really good month for this, even with the Mercury retrograde unfolding. Now, as we come into July, you have, depending on you know, where you are in the world and all of that stuff, it's either June 30th or July the 1st. So Jupiter will be coming into the sign of Leo. This is a big deal. It's a once in 12-year transit, so it's, you know, it's not super rare, but it's still pretty rare. Once in 12 years is, how many 12 years are you going to have in your life, right? 8, 9 if you're lucky. So do you know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty big deal. Now, that being said, this is your sixth house of your physical health and vitality, your body. Jupiter is protection, which is great. Remember, though, you are going to have the nodes. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. The nodes do shift this month into the sign of. So you'll have the South Node move into the sixth house for you, into the sign of Leo. The North Node will move into the 12th house, into the sign of Aquarius. So that's that eclipse cycle of the 6th and the 12th kicking in, which is the other challenging axis. But you've also got this, oh my gosh, come on, brain. Yeah, so you've got those going on. But this Jupiter in the 6th, Jupiter brings protection, it brings expansion. So your workload could be expanding, but you could also be connecting to some really great people through work as well. So that could be exciting. On August, I mentioned your new moon, didn't I? Yes. So for July, you've got the death card. So endings, completions, culminations. And this shows up with the Five of Pentacles. So if you're going to have any financial problems, challenges, or issues, they are likely to show up here. All right. Like, watch out for July, because it could be a really challenging month when it comes to um, money, when it comes to finances. There could be a break in the finances. This could be as a result of whatever's happening in June. I will also say, this could be a reversal of fortune as well. Like, if you've been broke or you've been having financial problems or issues up until this point, they could be coming to an end. That's one of the positives. One of the heavier ones, now, if you've been with me long enough, you know I do not shy away from the hard or heavy readings. And I believe in, you know, you say what you see. A part of the way that this could show up, and this won't be specifically for you, but this could be death by an accident, right? Slip, trip, fall, all of that kind of stuff. So I will say, if you know somebody who works in an arena or something, you know, you can't keep them off work for a month, but do check in with them regularly to make sure that they're not working 12 hours a day so they get clumsy. Or, do you see what I mean? Like, the thing about this, and I have to explain this to every single sign, and I always say this to people: when you have a prediction come up, it's not a moment to say, oh, this is a bad reading, so I'm going to throw the whole thing in the trash. The message behind a prediction is that you speak it before it happens. This gives you a chance to preempt that or to create a plan. So if you know July is potentially going to be a financially challenging month for you, January through June, what are you going to do? You're going to squirrel away. Let's say you save, I don't know, $75 every month. By the time you get to July, you saved up however much money, right? If let's call it $100, right? By the time you get to July, you would have an extra £600, dollars, whatever it is that your currency is, stored up. So let's say something financially happens, and you're like, oh well, at least I've got a little stash pot that I saved to get to this point. All right. So use this in a preemptive kind of manner. That's what I always say to people. Like, don't be afraid of the heavy stuff, because if it's coming up here, it means that you have the ability to do something different or to put a plan in place. And I'm going to speak to you about plans and strategies shortly. So, as we come into August, we have your annual full moon on the 28th of August. That's going to be a full moon lunar eclipse. It's the last one in that axis. So, you'll be done with the 1st and the 7th. You'll be glad to know. And then you move into the 6th and the 12th, which is, one of the other challenging spaces, but we all go through it at least once every 9 years, all right? So don't take it personally. Now, that being said, on the 12th of August, you're going to have a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Leo, which is now where the south node is. So there's a fresh start in your routines, in your daily habits. There's also a fresh start when it comes to your health. So looking after yourself a lot better at this time, I think. So you've got the Chariot card again. So June and August are going to be very fast, very dynamic months. You've got this with the Four of Wands. In August, wherever you see a win a car competition, please put your name forward. Apply. Put your name in, chuck your name in, because what's the worst that could happen? The worst that happens is that you don't win. The best that happens is that you win a new car. August is a month, wherever you see them, win this car, win that car, put your name in. Absolutely put your name in, because this could see you winning a car. That's one of the sort of more really beneficial or positive reads of this combination. It also means, because the Four of Wands is some kind of, it's good news or a reason to celebrate. And you've got this with the Chariot card. For some of you, you could be traveling or on some kind of holiday in August, which could be great. Love that for you. When another way that this could show up as well is if you are planning to buy a home or a property. August could be the month. It's kind of like from rags to riches, right? And back again, so to speak. But August is a profoundly, I would say August is probably your best month of the year, actually. Well, besides June and April, I actually really like March as well. Now, to speak about plans and strategies, this year I knew that 2026 as a universal 1 year was going to be very different, and that we would need to bring something different in order to really get through the year in stellar fashion. Now, with that being said, I created the compass, the 2026 compass intuitive strategy for the new era, because 2026 is kicking off a 9 or 10 year cycle. This is a brand new universal numerological cycle for all of us. So, with that in mind, I created the compass. What is it? You're going to get a 12-month tarot reading like this, specifically based on you and your energy and your plans, right? Like what well, it's not based on your plans. Your tarot reading is kind of what you get. We're using that as a blueprint. You're going to get a PDF booklet calendar with astrological and numerological insights based on your chart, your numbers, specifically written by me for you. As if that wasn't enough, you also are going to get a 3 hour session where you and me are going to sit down. We're going to co-create a plan for you based on the year. You get to ask me any questions that you've got. We're going to plan this meticulously so that you can absolutely smash 2026. As if all of that wasn't enough, you're going to get a free seat on the winter solstice alignment session on the 21st of December of 2025. And there is a payment plan. So you pay your first installment on sign up, you pay your second installment first installment on sign up, second installment November. Your 3 hour session with me is in December. That way, you've got plenty of time to watch your reading, to read through your booklet, to formulate your questions so that then we can sit down and create you a strategy and a plan based on what's coming up. And there are only 30 spaces. If you can imagine how much time and effort and energy and work I've put into these, think about how much time and effort and energy I'm going to be putting into those 30 compass holders. That's as many as I know I will be able to serve, and I want to be able to give this absolute quality. Now, if you're watching this and you think, wow, you know what, that's a little bit of me, there's a link in the description box below. If you think, you know what, it sounds amazing, but it's just out of my reach at the moment, I've got other sessions: astrology, tarot, numerology, energy work. Those are in the link in the description box below. Compass holders are getting all of that, by the way, rolled into one, and a winter solstice seat. So, now yours is the last sign in the zodiac, so fingers crossed there's still spaces left on this. You'll see it. There's a counter on the thing to tell you how many spots are left. So if you want to get this and you want to get yours, you know what to do. All right. Now, that being said, September, you have the Tower card. Okay, so look, September is going to be an intense month. There are some challenges here. Let's just call a spade a spade. You've got this with the Emperor card. This could be potentially a problem or an issue with a boss. I will say August/September, the sleeping pattern might be a little bit disrupted, so watch out for that. Another way that this could show up as well is your boss or superior or authority figure could go through a little bit of a shift or a change, or maybe touch wood, they could have a bit of a moment. Another way that you could see this as well is for those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, or even the learning institution that you're tied to might go through some kind of big change or upheaval. So September could be quite a disruptive month. If you're partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, then if you're a man, you could be going through something, and so you might need more support of your partner. If you are a woman, then your significant other or your father could be going through something where they need your support. As we come into October, we've got two transits of note. We've got a Mercury retrograde, the third and final one of the year. It starts on October 24th and goes all the way through till the 13th of November. As if that wasn't enough, we've got the Venus retrograde, and that starts on the 3rd of October and goes through to the 14th of November. So, and both of these start in Scorpio. Venus will come back into Libra. So for you, this is happening in your ninth house, coming back into your eighth house. All right. So that ninth house is you're rethinking your ideologies, your philosophies, you're rethinking where you live, maybe looking over visas and visa applications once more, potentially really thinking about your longer term plans. Maybe some of you are thinking or rethinking whether you're going to go back to school or not. Ninth house is foreign travel, distant lands. So you could be really focused on these things at this moment. Now, for this, you've got the Hermit card. Okay, so October could be a little bit of a lonely month. All right, I'll just call it as it is. You've got this with the Nine of Swords. You could be very in your head at this time, Pisces. And my advice to you would be, this is not a time to be on your own. It's not a time to just grin and bear it. It's not a time to be lonely, especially with whatever disruptions are taking place in September. The Nine of Swords can be where we're very much in our minds. You've got this with the Hermit card, and you could be feeling a little bit sort of more isolated or a bit more separated in some way, maybe even just a little more checked out than usual. So watch out for that. I would also say, just keep in mind, like, if you feel yourself, because I know when I'm feeling low mood, or if I'm feeling like a little bit depressed or a little bit under it, or if I'm just under the weather, I'm very body conscious in that way. Like, I know the difference between what I'm feeling and when I'm feeling it. This is the month to really check in with that. And I'm going to say to you, like, if you feel like you need support, this is not the time to be on your own. All right. It really is not. And you know me, I believe everyone should spend time alone to decompress and get back to their own thoughts and all the rest of it. I just think this is not a time for you to be alone. All right. November, you have the Emperor card again. So whatever's happening in September, it potentially goes all the way through to November and is unfolding over time. You've got this with the Seven of Pentacles. This could be the second half of a finance story that unfolds in June and July. So regulating the finances, looking at your money and your resources, potentially waiting for some sort of a payout here as well. That could be something that really unfolds here. The other thing with the Seven of Pentacles, it's about your investments, and because this is the Emperor, this could be where you are investing in some kind of professional training, coaching, therapy, counselling. My money's on sort of more the coaching side of things, or maybe even a trainer of some sort, whatever type of trainer that might be. But yeah, whatever you're spending money on, it's really to improve your life. As we come into December, you have the Magician card. That's a power month. And you've got this with the Eight of Swords. So heavy is the head that wears the crown. I wouldn't be surprised, now that I see this as like a story arc, I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are stepping into a big or a leadership role of some sort, where it's kind of like, okay, yeah, this is great. I get a promotion, I get a step up. We talked about this. It may be that some of you just walk into a position because a boss leaves or is fired or something happens to them. And it's like, yes, this is wonderful, but you might feel the sense of a lot of pressure immediately. And, you might sort of kind of feel like, oh, okay, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. You absolutely are, but it's going to be a lot of work. December, the Magician card. Remember, this is you as a powerhouse. It's telling you that you have everything that you need to succeed. But you've got this with the Eight of Swords, which means the results and the rewards or the accolades or the celebrations are not going to come from it immediately. All right. Like your travel months of this year, you've got June. That's a travel month. Love that. August is a travel month. I think April is a travel month as well. Little jet setters. Love it. All right. So your challenge months of the year. I think February could be a challenge month. July is definitely a challenge month. September, October, and November are all challenge months, right? Your power months, January, I love. March, I love. April is like, I really like May actually. June and August are fantastic, right? So you've got a nice mixed bag here. Your Human Design Oracle deck is the Gate 57 and Intuition. And the message behind this card is it intuition or an echo of the past? This year, you really have to get to grips with what is your emotions, what is your intuition, and you need to learn how to discern between the two. The fact that you had the High Priestess come out as your first card means that this year, my dear Pisces, when it comes to your spiritual life, your intuitive faculty and world, and your internal messaging, you really do have to dig deep and brush up on those psychic skills. It's a shame because Pisces has the potential to be one of the most psychic signs, but because there's so much all the time, and no offense, but you guys do tend to sort of drift off and go off on a tangent. This is one of the reasons that Cancer is said to be the most psychic of the signs, is because they can focus on it and they can pull the piece that they actually want, rather than sort of getting lost in the source of it all and then just escaping because they're overwhelmed. This year, you really need to learn to work with your intuition, because it's going to serve you so well, and not just for this year, but off into the future. And the fact that you have this card means that your intuition will be communicating to you about all of this stuff. Whether you pick it up or not is going to be about whether you really are learning to discern what is your history, your challenge, your echoing, your programming, or all of that kind of stuff, versus your actual intuition. With that said, I love that you guys watch these every month, every 3 months, every 6 months, however you do it. I love seeing your comments come in throughout the year saying, this happened for me and, this was like this. And I really love that. It's really heartwarming for me to know that the work is serving people long beyond the moment that I put it out. That really means a lot. So thank you for sharing. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. If you want your compass seat, there's a link in the description box below. If you want to book a personal session, you know what to do. With that said, take care and I'll see you soon.